I thought it was interesting that on the night that Hollywood memorialized his death is a night that Sidney Poitier, who walked so Will Smith could run, that was the full circle moment of Sidney Poitier opened the door for people of color to get into the industry on the highest night of that industry, and Will Smith actually won an Oscar, an Academy Award. That's how he comported himself. Hey everyone, my name is Francois Marseille. This is episode 1 of the Midnight Classroom. If you like this content, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. Truth be told, I actually was not going to make this episode, my episode 1. I actually have a video that I've recorded and that I'm editing, but this Will Smith slap heard around the world came out, and I have to talk about it. What's also shameful and what's also a really good teaching moment is that you can do so many things right for so long. Will Smith has done an incredible amount of things right for so long. And that one split-second decision can change your legacy. And let's talk about that for a second. He's human. We're allowed to make mistakes. How I see Will Smith, like the Jay-Z line, he's not a businessman, he's a business man. He's a corporation and a business entity all unto himself. This is such a teachable moment. There are a lot of things to unpack here, and I want to get started. Before I get started, though, I do want to say I'm a huge fan of Will Smith. If you know these movies, quote, here's the first one. I'll give you a clue. Let me move the microphone. Now that's how you drive. That's how you drive. What movie is that? Bad Boys, right? Another movie. He shoots down the enemy. He gets out of his plane and punches the enemy and says, "Welcome to Earth." What movie is that? Independence Day. Another movie where he puts on his glasses, slow roll up. It's like the difference between me and you. I make this look good. Men in Black. Like, he has such quotable movies, and he is iconic. This dude's iconic. The last 3 years, I haven't been too kind to him, especially since Entanglement Gate came out. And I think that's why how he reacted the other night at the Oscars has something to do with that. I feel like his public image was taking a big hit. I feel that he wanted to show people that he's not soft. He is from West Philadelphia, and he really wanted to make a point in that moment of showing people that he's not soft. He was tired of people making fun of him, dragging his family's name through the mud. As public figures, obviously they open themselves up to that, but they're still people, and he obviously reached his limit. It's really interesting how big this got. I feel like in 2022, we don't really have any water cooler moments. That's usually when something so big happens that everyone's talking about it at the office or through text message all day. Things happen here and there, but it probably dies out after 10 minutes. When I tell you the amount of conversations and arguments I've had with coworkers all day about this, it got to another level. The last time I saw people this up in arms and upset was actually when Barack Obama, not even won the presidency, it was when he won the Nobel Prize. People were seething at the teeth and super mad that he won. And I think their argument then was he hasn't earned it yet, a Nobel Prize. And people who were fans of his, me included, were saying he has the potential for it. But if you were on the other side, the president of your own country, people were super mad that he won that. And I thought that was interesting. And that's the last time I felt energy like this. Like, why is it so big? These guys are megastars. They're superstars, public figures. And again, we've known him since the 90s. So he's iconic, at least to me, to us. And it hurts to see your heroes like that. And it's interesting, people fell into about three camps about why they were upset about how he, or maybe they were for it. But there was three camps, and it almost went down political lines. So if you're conservative, you had a conservative view, which I am. If you're an independent, you had an emotional view. And if you were a liberal, you had a certain viewpoint as well. So I can actually break these down. The folks who were liberal liked the energy Will Smith was on. They didn't mind that he did it in front of the world. They didn't mind that he did it on camera. They didn't mind that he didn't go to the back and speak to Chris Rock man to man. They wanted that action. They wanted that action, and they liked how and what he stood for when he did it. Their view is he was defending his wife. That's an interesting take. To me, when she's an actress, so when I saw it, I didn't actually take it as Chris Rock was insulting his wife. I feel like he took a jab at an actress who was at the Academy Awards, the Oscars. But people in the liberal viewpoint is like, no, if someone insults my wife, I am about that action. I am putting hands on that individual quickly. So that is interesting, but I didn't take it that way. It's literally, she's an actress. She put herself in the limelight with her red table talk, and she was open game. But, people with liberal views, that's totally fine. So me, conservative, like I was saying, if you get upset about something, we're people, we're human. If you get upset about something, how you react to it is how you react to it. If you have sophistication about your reaction, if you don't, it's in the eye of the beholder type situation. You're going to react how you react. However, I actually don't disagree that he felt so strongly that he did that. I don't think that was, he committed a crime. That was assault. But my preference would have been if he took it backstage. To do that in front of the world with all the cameras watching, that was not cool. Even exacerbated by the fact that in memoriam, one of the first actors they showed was the great Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier exuded such class, such elegance. He was Barack Obama before Barack Obama. He had to comport himself with such dignity so that he would be above reproach, so that he can open the door for other actors of color to get more movies. I thought it was interesting that on the night that Hollywood memorialized his death is a night that Sidney Poitier, who walked so Will Smith could run, that was the full circle moment of Sidney Poitier opened the door for people of color to get into the industry on the highest night of that industry, and Will Smith actually won an Oscar, an Academy Award. That's how he comported himself, which is interesting because the accolade should have been to him after 30 years, since the 90s, right? 90s, 2010. Yeah, since the 90s, the 30 years of a career, and he won an Oscar finally. That's actually the only reason I was watching the Oscars, was to see him win an Oscar. I really haven't been interested in it, and I love movies. Like, I was in theater. It's just I wasn't interested. But Will Smith potentially winning an Oscar, I was there for that. Excuse me, let me get a drink. But how that went down, I cringed. It shouldn't be about race. but it is. It's actually about a lot of things, and there are levels to this. Actually, let me break down the list of what were shared to me by the people I talked to today. So here are the reasons the people who are for Chris Rock getting slapped, these are the reasons that they provided. You can't make fun of someone who has a disability at all. I don't agree. Freedom of speech says that I don't agree, but also if it's funny, like if it's a genius like Dave Chappelle can make a funny joke about someone with disability, then it's supposed to be a joke. I know in this day and age we can't take jokes anymore, but I'm of the generation that I can still understand a joke is a joke. So that was 1 out of 10. Another reason, well, alopecia. Alopecia, what that is, cells in your immune system surround and attack your hair follicles, which causes your hair to fall out. That's what alopecia is. So because of that, Chris Rock should have known that's what she was battling and not made a joke, which, again, comedians have a right to say a joke, and the people will respond to it how people respond to it. But people laughed at that joke, FYI. Another one, she's a black woman. Get it? Another one, another level, you're talking about a black woman's hair. Okay? She's a wife. You can't make fun of her. Okay? Like I said, to me, if you're in that auditorium for the Oscars and you're an actress, it's true you're a wife, but to me, you're an actress first and you're a public figure first. So to then draw lines of, she's a wife, fair, you're entitled to your opinion. I actually like that people have their own opinions, but to me, I don't agree with that. But I get it. Some crazy stuff is Chris Rock is not a real comedian. You can say he's not funny, but this guy is going to be in the Comedian Hall of Fame. And your favorite comedians, if you're considering Kevin Hart, considering Eddie Murphy, a lot of these people put him on their top 10 lists. So to say that he's not a great comedian, that's disingenuous. But if you don't think he's funny, that's your right. They were saying Chris Rock wasn't there as a host, so he shouldn't have been making any jokes. I feel like that's reaching, because everyone had a comedy type of routine, even if they weren't comedians. So that's reaching. I think that smelled to me of, you're not trying to understand someone's point of view. You're just trying to prove yourself right. So you're not arguing to understand. You're just arguing to win, which, that's a class right there. But that's what that smelled and reeked of, and I didn't really care for that. Will should have waited to confront Chris Rock backstage because he might have had a chance to cool off. Will shouldn't have waited to confront Chris Rock backstage because he might have had a chance to cool off and not put hands on him. Really? So yeah, liberals in this example are about that violence. Is it fair to say that Will Smith is now the bully from West Philadelphia, that he left West Philadelphia to go to Bel Air for in this moment? I think today the apology came out, but who's to say it's not sincere? I think he felt that pressure. Because it didn't go over well. And it's a shame because it really brought down, I can't say the caliber of the show. A lot of people probably wouldn't have been talking about the show if that didn't happen. But legacy-wise, it's going to be an asterisk. It'll be an asterisk on his career. My thing is, the reason that he got those big paychecks and big paydays, and he earned it, so I'm not trying to disparage that at all. But one of the reasons that a corporation or a company or a studio would give someone $20 million a picture or more is because he's responsible and trustworthy. They know he's going to work super hard. They know that, well, he definitely was a box office draw. They used to call it Big Willie Weekend. And I think it was around July 4th for a long time. It was Big Willie Weekend. And that's because he proved that he was box office draw. I mean, from if you loved him from Fresh Prince, and then even movies like 6 Degrees of Separation, which was one of the first movies he did, you might not even heard about that. I am a fan. I was super disappointed that his legacy was tarnished. He's a man. We make mistakes. He makes mistakes. But I am really disappointed about that. So I'm sitting here thinking about all the movies of his that I watched. I think maybe I didn't watch like two. I think one was called Focus, and one was like 7 Pounds. That might be the only two movies of Will Smith I've never watched. But yeah, I'm going off on it because I'm thinking about all these years and all these projects that he's done. He probably more than most understands public perception and optics. So for him to do that, some people have conspiracy theories. And I really believe it was a split-second decision. I think people call it a business decision. This hurts him, but it doesn't hurt him to where he can't provide for his family. It was super unlikely that another celebrity of Chris Rock's caliber was going to press charges. So when you are ahead of a business entity like he is, I think you do all those micro calculations and you're like, you know what? I'm going to put some hands on him. Yeah, that's a business decision. The negatives might just be perception and legacy. But if I win the award, I'm going to win the award. If I don't, I don't. That doesn't change the outcome, even though he was clearly the favorite. Clearly the favorite. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. So let's talk about the learning opportunities and why I wanted to make this podcast. With the world watching, you can't do that, especially as a man of color. People actually balked at the idea. We shouldn't have to be perfect to succeed. We should all have equal opportunity. I think laws are in place that maybe we have legal opportunity. I think laws are in place that maybe we have equal opportunity. Maybe. I mean, I think Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins football coach, might feel different about that. But what we don't have guaranteed is the equality of outcomes. Maybe if we all can be at the same starting gate, it doesn't mean that someone won't smoke us and be faster than us. We're not promised equality of outcomes at all. So it's really, the teaching moment is that one mistake can really set you back. Maybe you took one step forward, but I feel like this was multiplied and he took 10 steps back. Is the perception of this. The perception of this. And that's really a shame. He'll probably still get movies, still get projects, but it's almost like I don't know if how many sports fans are listening, but there was a Super Bowl where the Patriots were playing the Seattle Seahawks, and instead of giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch to run it at the 1 yard line, the most devastatingly powerful running back of that 3-4 year span, for 1 yard, people will probably bet, I'll put my life on it, that he can get 1 yard in that situation. But instead, they decided to throw it. People intimately aware of it believe that the coach didn't want Marshawn Lynch to win the MVP. They wanted to give it to Russell Wilson, so that throw would have solidified it. But they threw away a sure Super Bowl because it was intercepted. Marshawn Lynch, for people who don't know, is a guy who was saying, I'm only here so I don't get fined. You know why I'm here. And now he's doing all these great Doritos commercials and Manscaped commercials, and he's lovable, great guy. Good spirit, good heart. Just a different culture. And when you don't have people representing your culture at the top, your image can be distorted however that other culture sees fit. That is my problem with what happened at the Oscars. You gave power of a narrative of a successful man of color to the world to do with what they will. You see, they're violent people. You see, just because they have money doesn't mean just because you took them out of the hood doesn't mean that the hood's not still in them. It's that. That's such a big disappointment. It's that. So what do you guys think? Do you fall under the liberal? He should have put hands on him. He deserved it. Do you fall under the conservative? Handle that behind closed doors. I actually didn't talk about the independent. It's people. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the independent people, feelings people. You can't judge. They say you can't judge Will Smith because he was emotional about it. You can't judge his actions because his emotions got the better of him. That's not what it says in a court of law, but they're actually entitled to that point of view. That there were people who definitely felt that. Even some actresses were saying that about the incident. Like, he was emotional, and we feel sad about his pain, and don't judge and don't be hypocritical because we've all fallen short. Also true, but you open yourself up to the court of public opinion, because you're not a regular person. You're still a human being and a member of the human race. But in that moment, you know what that's like? Can you imagine getting married to someone and they slap the Sierra Hotel India tango out of you, slap the taste out of your mouth before you say I do, and people see that? You'd feel some kind of way about that. Wedding day, tux, the dress. We're gathered here today. Do you? And then what did the five fingers say to this face? Like, before the I do. That's kind of how it was, at least for me, from my viewpoint, from my vantage point. That's actually exactly what it was. He ended up winning the award, but then you're sitting here talking about when they're reading his vows, aka acceptance speech. You're not really feeling that. I actually turned it off. Like, God's not through with me, but I'm a child of God. And when he was saying, God wants me to walk in love and protect people, I'm like, don't put God into this, because God says, vengeance is mine. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You put that into your own hands, and then you want to throw God into it, and then you entangled, pun intended, and then you entangled the Williams sisters into this? Come on, man. In that situation, I would have just in that situation, I'd rather you just take the L, admit it. He had a clever, he was a fierce defender of his family. Thank you for this. It's been a long career. I'm so grateful. I meant no disrespect, Academy. Good night. But the tears and all of that, I literally turned it off. I couldn't even watch it anymore. So what do you guys think? Was he right for doing that? Was he wrong for doing that? Which category do you fall into? Are you the conservative, the liberal? Are you the independent, the emotional? He had mental health issues at the time. He was going through it. Let's not pretend like he wasn't being made fun of for the past year. We can't not pretend that. But yeah, discuss it in the comments. I'd love to know what you guys think. This was like an impromptu episode. I do want these to be longer, these episodes. I do want to have an interview feel to this, but this one was something where I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to wait. So thank you. And yeah, good night.